Hello, Commander. Intelligence report had tell us that the shadow banning unit, the YouTube shadow banning unit forces are now redrawing via the like button to the dislike button. We need to stop them and stop their redrawal, and I need your help. Do what you can, and we depend on you. Victory can only be achieved by hard divisions. Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 120 and 121 for the 23rd to 24th of June. So today is 25th of June already. So it's time for a summary. So quite a number of things have happened that you probably have seen some of the quick updates. If you have not seen the quick updates, I'm so disappointed in you. So anyway, let's start off with start off with the cross-border Shelling. So Shelling or Shaolin Temple or Shaolin Monk. So there is a Shaolin monks reported at Tovto at Pashivsk, at Kharkiv, as well as Manukivka. So these few locations are being shelled by Russian artillery or mortar. And let's see what else. So I think there's no prominent missile strikes to report about. I think I delete. Okay, what's this? Okay. So moving on to the southern front, we start off with Mykolaiv Front. At the Mykolaiv Front, there is information that the Russian forces have captured Blahodatne. So this is coming from Suryat maps. The credit is given to Chris, which is one of the top geolocation expert on Twitter. Fighting is reported in the north and west side of Pravdane. So this one is likely to be Ukrainian offensive trying to capture Pravdane, which was previously captured by the Russian forces. So there is also reports of fighting between Sodatsky and Posad-Porovsky, where they said that there is a Russian breakout towards Posad-Porovsky, but it was repelled, and some Russian armor was destroyed between these two towns. The Kaiserlivka is still under Russian control, so this entire counteroffensive has failed because when you reflect on the capture of Blahodatne, which means that instead of the capture of Kaiserlivka, the Russian forces actually pushed forward and capture this position. It remains to be seen if the Russians will actually capture this stronghold of Posad-Porovsky of the Ukrainian forces. Should they capture this, it will look really, really bad on the Ukrainian forces, since this is one of the strong positions where the Ukrainians have a lot of entrenchment, and this is where they launch operations towards Kherson. So that's the Mykolaiv Front. There's no more action at Snihurivka. There's nothing there. Some people report that the fighting is still there, but I don't think that's true. Moving on to the Davydiv Brid side of the front, the Davydiv Brid is now corrected to be under Russian control. So according to the pro-Russian source on Telegram, Ryba, they said that the Ukrainian forces actually shelled the positions of the armed forces of Russia in Davydiv Brid, or Davydovi Broad. Davydovi, I think he added one V accidentally. I'm not sure is this the correct spelling. So which means that Davydiv Brid is actually under Russian control. So this is corrected. Previously, the last information I seen of Davydiv Brid was that the Ukrainians actually entered Davydiv Brid, and I've listed as a Ukrainian capture. That was from the massive southern front counter-offensive by the Ukrainians, and now that's invalidated already. So moving on to the Kryvyi Rih Front. Kryvyi Rih Front, there is fighting reported at Arkhangelsk. This is actually 3 days old, but no one really talks about it. This is one of the 2 tweets mentioned Arkhangelsk. There is a Sukhoi 25 shot down over Vysokopilia, and there is also fighting in the area between Vysokopilia and Potomkaini. So it's apparently a Russian push, but it was not successful. There was also a push by the Ukrainians towards Potomkaini, and it was detected by the Russian forces, and the Russian artillery bombarded it. So the Ukrainians gave up the offensive. So there wasn't really a fighting. It's more like the offensive push towards Potomkaini, and then they got bombarded, and then they just gave up since they probably lost the element of surprise. I think I've reported this, so let's delete that. So that's all for the Kryvyi Rih Front. So if talking about the massive counter-offensive, literally they lost more positions than they won. So some kind of spiritual damage, I guess, or moral damage, or emotional damage. And moving on to Zaporizhzhia Line, there is fighting reported between Vasilivka and Kayamsky. This is coming from the Ukrainian operational information. The fighting is between Kayamsky and Vasilivka. Is actually a push by the Russians. However, is reported to have failed. This push did not work out, and that's it. Not sure if they will continue to fight on. That's all from the Zaporizhzhia Line. Some people say I shouldn't bother reporting here since nothing ever happens. But yeah, I mean, it's still something, right? Moving on to the Donetsk front, there's this fighting reported at Novosilka, Vremivka, Neskushine, and all these positions are actually on the western side of Velika Novosilka. So the interesting thing about this report was that they described this as the Ukrainian forces defeated Russian recon groups near Vremivka, Novosilka, and Neskushine. And then they say the Russian forces withdrew with heavy losses. However, these positions are under Russian control. So, or at least under my monitoring, is under Russian control. So it is very unlikely to be a Russian offensive. That's why I put it under blue color to list it as under it as a Ukrainian offensive instead. Because it makes more sense to be that case, since I have never seen information of Ukrainian capture of Novosilka, Vremivka, or Neskushine since. So, but that is my position. Maybe in a different map, different mapper will have put this still under Ukrainian control. Then that will make sense in the sense of Russian recon group operating around this region. So, this fighting at the Velika Novosilka, I just deleted. I didn't really see any fighting for a long time there. So, in case you are wondering what is this is a Novosilka aerodrome. There is actually a small airstrip around here. So that is this new feature from the map. In case you missed the last memo. So History Legend channel, the YouTube channel History Legends, he kind of have a call out for DPA, and he also kind of request that there will be all the industrial area should be mapped at least near the front line. So I have mapped all this position, and as you can see, there's actually nothing much here. It's mostly all in the east, and I also put did put some of these aerodrome or airstrips. There's actually an airstrip here, so it might be a bit meaningful. So especially the industrial areas are actually a bit useful even in my monitoring. So, and if they are controlled by the Ukrainians or Russian forces, that means they embedded themselves within the industrial area to use it as a stronghold, I will actually change this to the color of the force. So blue for Ukraine and this reddish color for the Russian forces. You will probably see it later as we go on with in the map. So furthermore, in the Donetsk front, so actually this is actually more like I list this actually under Zaporizhzhia Line. So this is Zaporizhzhia Line actually. On the Donetsk front side, the Ukrainian offensive in the area of Voleda, there is actually two different stories. Moving on, I would say the simpler one, the Ukrainians, there are reports that the Ukrainians have captured Preshitivka, Novomayoske, Shevchenko, and Yahorivka. This is actually rather viral on Twitter. This is what they claim. However, on the Russian side, which the Russian sources, they actually have much more detailed information. So both sides agree that Palivka is captured by the Ukrainian forces. So this is undisputed. So this is a precious capture, I guess, for the Ukrainian forces. However, according to the Russian sources, the fighting is reported near Yehorivka. However, they did not work out. So fighting is also at Shevchenko, which also did not work out. And there is this push, which was new before I saw all this information from the Ukrainian side, where the Ukrainian forces actually managed to gain a foothold on the outskirts of Novomayoskoye or Novomayoske. So the fighting continues. This is according to the pro-Russian sources, which seems to make more sense. Make this kind of like a more information rather than say, oh, they captured this position. Because sometimes people get excited and then they just prematurely say that, oh, they have captured this position. To capture this many positions at one shot would indicate there is actually no one defending. So I kind of inclined to believe the Russian story a bit more. But I've indicated anyway the Ukrainian story here. So you can see the overlapping in terms of the territory. So yeah, I have both sides of the story on the map. So according to the Ryba, the pro-Russian source, they say that the DPR, the Donetsk People's Republic militias, gained a foothold in the village of Shevchenko Yogorovka, which is Yohorivka, with the support of artillery and air force of the Russian armed forces. So yeah, they are able to stop this counteroffensive by the Ukrainians in this direction, and there's at least one company attacked the position of the DPR forces, the Donetsk People's Republic forces in Novomayoskoye, and they're able to gain a foothold on the outskirts of this village. So if you look at this piece of information from the pro-Russian sources, it's a lot more informative, and it seems to make some sense, where the Ukrainians are pushing and the Russians barely managed to hold them back. Then there is this breakout through a company of forces towards Novomayoske, and they managed to entrench themselves probably along these tree lines around here, where the DPR militias are holding up still within this position. So this feels like a more plausible story to me. Anyway, you can think otherwise. Anyway, I have indicated both, so you cannot say I'm biased of what. I just don't want to commit to a capture so easily, especially for Ukrainian offensive. Their captures always only last 1-2 days. So which also could indicate that the information is actually premature or wrong. So So anyway, that's that. The fighting at Marinka, Novomykhailivka, as well as Slavny might not be happening anymore. So I'm going to delete them all. So I want to delete in front of you, so you know that happened. Moving on to Avdiivka, nothing significant I know of happened. Let me see. Let me delete this. This is the old information. Okay, there is this report from the Russian Ministry of Defense. They reported a case of mass desertion of the Ukrainian troops at Oleksandropil, which is here. So they say that in the area of Oleksandropil of the Donetsk People's Republic, there are more than 30 Ukrainian servicemen of one of the battalion of the 25th Airborne Brigade abandoned their personal weapons and left their position without permission. So this is from the Russian Ministry of Defense. You can take this with a pinch of salt or MSG, or you don't like saltiness, you can add sugar. So something like that could have happened. So the forces here have been suffering from bombardment for a very, very long time. So you cannot discount the possibility that this could happen, because morale can be grind away, after you get bombarded for more than a month. There is reinforcement reported at New York though. The additional units of 72 UMB and 26 AUB arrived near New York to strike at Russian positions and then divert from Soledar and Luhansk direction. So maybe they are here to do some, according to this, I'm not sure if I'm reading this correctly or not. This is from pro-Russian sources, pro-Russian source. So it's to try to, attack from New York to draw Russian forces away from the other active fronts. This fighting in the southern outskirts of New York, I'll delete it because we haven't heard anything of them for a very long time. So moving on to the Bakhmut Front. This is the Bakhmut city, and at the Bakhmut Front, there is rumors of Russian capture of Kolyma. However, this is from this pro-Russian source, Colonel Kozak, I think. But so the name is actually Boris Rosin, but I haven't really seen more convincing information about the capture of Kolyma. So I'm putting this a question mark. Oops, I should put it in red. And there is also this rumor of alleged firefight, friendly fire between two Ukrainian sides. So both the Ukrainian forces at Kolyma fought the Ukrainian forces at Semigorye or Zaporizhzhia, probably due to miscommunications and with the loss of all their commanders in the battle. So very dramatic. Take this with a pinch of sugar or MSG, because this kind of information I just add this for it just sounds interesting, but you cannot put much weight on something like this. It can be all misinformation or just to demoralize the Western or pro-Ukrainian readers. There is no updates in terms of Luhansk. I think this information is rather old now, I believe. Let's see. 31st of May. So this is a very long time ago already. So I'm going to delete this information. I haven't seen fighting at Luhansk for some time. There is also no fighting at Hirske Thermal Power Plant. So I'll delete that. So I'm going to push back this border just to be more accurate. So the Russian push towards Zaporizhzhia still haven't bore fruit. There is also some rumors of fighting at Zaitsevo or Zaitsevo, but there is really not much information really to really confirm this. So it's still a question mark here. And what else do we have around here? Okay. There is fighting reported between Volodymyrivka and Perovsky. So this Perovsky here. So there is fighting between these positions. And there is also this fighting between Pelichachny and Perovsky, which means that the Russians are actually attacking Perovsky from both directions. Sorry, oops. From this side on this road and from this road down. So there's two ways they are fighting through towards this town. And so let's see, the forces operating around here are the Wagner private military contractors, which are crazily heavily armed. They even have some fighter jets and attack aircraft. So they are totally at a different level from the Western military contractors like the Blackwaters and stuff. Seemingly very overpowered as a private military contractor. Let's see, what else do we have new? There's no new information regarding all this position from Yakovlivka to Brestov. There's no new information here. Moving on to the Luhansk front. At the Luhansk front, I'll go to Hirske-Zolote later, I guess. The Russian forces have captured Mykolaiv. So, and then they continue to push on and captured Volchoyarivka. So if you want to know the further breakdowns, you can actually go and watch the quick updates. So I don't want to repeat too much of the same thing. And then from Volchoyarivka, they actually continued their push northward and towards Maloryazantsev. So Maloryazantsev. So anyway, they are pushing towards this direction, and there's also report from a DPA viewer that according to local DPR news, the Russian forces and Donetsk People's Republic forces is moving into the tree lines here on the eastern side of Topolivka. So I believe the forces operating around this area is trying to attack any vehicles that is trying to drive through this highway towards Seversk. No, sorry, wrong. Towards Seversk is here, correct. Towards Seversk is here. So they need to drive through here and pass Zolotarivka westward towards Seversk. So forces, Russian positions around here would be able to attack these vehicles around here, which is around 2 kilometers. So well within range of most of these anti-vehicular weapons. There is also fighting. Fighting in the southern outskirts of Lysychansk. So after the capture of Maria Dolina, Pelisny, and Loskutivka, they have pushed on north, and Ukrainian positions is reported at Gelatin plant and the rubber factory. So these two positions is currently under Ukrainian control. According to history legend, he said that industrial positions, industrial buildings are very well built, and they are like a fortification. So which is why the Ukrainian forces like to position within them, and these positions or these buildings can act like a castle of sort. So which is why you can see throughout this war, Ukrainian forces like to embed themselves within industrial areas. So currently there is this push in this direction. There is also attack towards Bilahora at the same time, or Bilagora. There is also rumors that Bilahora has been captured, but I don't think it's convincing enough. So which is why I don't report or indicate that on the map. Currently, it's still an offense. According to the TASS, which is a Russian media, they reported 600 Ukrainian soldiers. Among them, they are wounded, have surrendered to the Russian forces near Lysychansk. So this is based on information from the assistant to the Minister of Internal Affairs of the Luhansk People's Republic, Vitaly Keselev. So TASS reported 600 Ukrainian forces surrendered around this region. So because the Russian forces have not entered Lysychansk proper, they are still on the southern outskirts. So maybe the surrender is coming from around this area, Bilahora and this industrial zone in the southern side of Lysychansk. This is probably the case. So we need to be informed of the context. So moving south before we go across the river, the Hirske and Zolote has been captured by Russian forces. So this is a significant capture, and this is also officially declared by the Russian Ministry of Defense. So previously there was a report that the 24 Umber, 56 Umber, and 10 Obshiber has been has surrendered en masse in Hirske, which is very vague in terms of the information. Then TASS reported more than 800 servicemen in the Hirske-Zolote and near Lysychansk have surrendered over the past 2 days, which is probably the past 3-4 days. And then the Russian Ministry of Defense came out with a long statement, long information. They said that this was before the announcement of the capture of Hirske and Zolote. So they said that groups of Ukrainian units have been isolated completely near Gorskoye and Zolotoye. And the encircled units are 4 battalions, worth of them, 3rd Mechanized Battalion of the 24th Mechanized, 15 Mountain Assault Battalion of the 128 Mountain Assault, and the 42nd Mechanized Infantry Battalion of the 57 Mechanized Infantry, and the 70th Battalion of the 101st Territorial Defense, 57 Mechanized Infantry Brigades Artillery Group, and a group of Northeast from the wrong sector, and detachment of foreign mercenary. So in total, they estimated to be around 2,000 troops. 1,800 are Ukrainian servicemen, 120 Northeast from the wrong sector, and 80 foreign mercenaries. They also counted 40 armored vehicles and 80 guns and mortar. So they only reported 41 servicemen abandoned the position and surrendered over the past 24 hours. So not sure what is the actual number. And according to information from the surrendered, they say that the Ukrainian units are exhausted. Units are manned less than 40%. And the Ukrainian commands have lost control over them. All resupply has completely stopped. So since then, they have announced the capture of Hirske and Zolote. The information of the total number of troops that have surrendered around Hirske and Zolote is unclear at this moment. So probably the Russian Defense Ministry will probably come out with a statement on the total number of surrenders and captures within this region. But they put out a number of 2,000. So if they did not capture 2,000 troops, that would be a little bit embarrassing. And then we also have confirmation of the capture of Novo Ivanivka. So that concludes the entire Hirske-Zolote grounds. And as such, because of the capture, we can now delete all these blue pimples here. So while I delete, you need to clap. Okay, let's clap. Well applause. No, thank you everyone. Thank you. Good job. Okay, and this tree also. Yeah. Thanks for clapping. And so now it looks more cleaner, right? So previously, all these location icons are in black. I put it to gray so that it's not so outstanding, which is very disturbing to my eyes. So moving back to the Luhansk front, on the battlefront around Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, the fighting at Borisky, seems to have died out. There is this alleged withdrawal of Ukrainian troops. So this is from this I think it's a German Twitter account, W. Anyway, so take this with a pinch of MSG as well. But I haven't seen reports of fighting at Borisky for a very long time, so I'm not sure what is the situation around here. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry continues to dispute that Voronov and Mykolaiv is actually captured. So in their latest operational information, they say that to oust the Ukrainian troops, the Russian forces is attacking the area of the settlement of Mykolaiv, Serotyne, and Voronovo, which is extremely irritating because it's vague and it keep continuing to contradict the actual momentum, of the situation on the ground, because you can't possibly still have troops in Mykolaiv and Voronove while you have videos showing your troops are trying to retreat from several Donets into Lysychansk, crossing the river in quiet desperation. So, and the push from the Russians from these areas, just you can't have fighting at Serotyne and Lysychansk while you have forces at Mykolaiv. It just doesn't make sense. You will be encircled, and the more likely logical division was that you have to pull back your troops around here to reinforce Serotyne, right? So, and you can't possibly have troops at Voronov and then expect Hirske to be under attack. So there is a lot of illogical information, just like the previously we have reported fighting at Novokhytyrka, which also don't make sense because it's so far away from the front line, and eventually I have to delete away the Pimples there because it don't make sense for the Ukrainian forces to be there, way too far away from the front. So, and this is not exactly near as well. From Mykolaiv to the river, that's 5-6 kilometers. To this part where is the safest bridge crossing, that is also 6 kilometers over. From Voronov, there is also another 6 kilometers over. And there is another river here that they need to cross. So it's not exactly like it's a straight line. They need to actually move around. And we know that there is fighting at Serotyne. And we know that the Russian forces has this northern side of the residential area. In fact, they might also have control over this residential area as well. So the retreat route will be very difficult. So to believe that they continue to put forces here and the forces would stupidly continue to position and entrench themselves in Mykolaiv just doesn't gel for me. Just doesn't gel for me. The Chechen leader, Razam Kadyrov, claimed that Serotyne has been captured by the Russian forces. They also mentioned about Voronov or Voronove or Voronovo. So, but Chechen leaders' words tend to be very early. Not that it's inaccurate. Eventually it happens, but sometimes like the situation in Rubin's name, it took a month or more. So I only just gonna list this here in case people are asking me about this. He claimed that Serotyne has been captured. I just gonna leave it as a statement here until I have other people, other trusted sources saying that. I'm just gonna leave it as it is. No idea about this clearing of the forest and summer villages behind the airport. There's no information of this anymore. So I'm just going to leave this here. There is this information, that according to informants within the Ukrainian forces, this informant leaked to the editor-in-chief of Censor, Yuri Butusov, that the Ukrainian forces has left several Donets, and the Ukrainian units left the industrial zone in several Donets in an organized manner. And on the part of the front where he was this informant's position, the withdrawal is done under fire, but they did not take losses. So he is not very happy about leaving, but he does feel that the division is long overdue, which means that the Ukrainian forces might be actually indeed withdrawing from this closing encirclement. And there is already information that Russian forces is entering the Azot plant. I actually spelled this wrongly. And they are moving deeper into the industrial zone of the Azot plant. So this is from the pro-Russian Telegram group Levy. So situation overall is that we are now seeing organized tactical withdrawal, because the forces here are all very well trained. These are all the regular forces and foreign fighters. They are all militarily trained, so they are doing tactical withdrawal from Severodonetsk into Lysychansk, and likely the forces at Lisna Dacha, Serotine, and Borovsky would likely follow suit to withdraw into Lysychansk. So coming to Lysychansk, according to the internal affairs of the LPR, the Luhansk People's Republic, the remaining troops of the Ukrainian forces in the Lysychansk, Severodonetsk operational encirclement go up to around 4,500 troops. So we have 4,500 troops around this area, from Novodruzhsk all the way to Borisky. This entire area, 4,500 Ukrainian troops. And there is reports of Ukrainian forces withdrawing from Lysychansk towards Bakhmut and towards Seversk actually. And these forces that are withdrawing are under artillery and fire from the Russian side. And there is an indication that they might be giving up the withdrawal and to try to hold position to fight in Lysychansk, because withdrawal seems to be getting more and more difficult. But this information is not confirmed. I only see hints of it on Twitter. So let's see if they can continue to do the withdrawal towards Seversk to build this new line from Seversk all the way to Bakhmut. This is the line that I mentioned more than a month ago that the Ukrainians should have moved to. So let's see how this goes. Things are looking very bad for the Ukrainian forces within this area. There is report of bombardment on Novodruzhsk by Russian missiles. They are reportedly hitting the entrenchment. Probably they are targeting the headquarters. But anyway, I don't think the commands will still be here. They probably have withdrawn to Seversk already, given how they usually operate. That's all for the Luhansk front. Very long-winded. Moving on to the Izyum front. At the Izyum front, I have corrected or I have changed the map to instead put Bohorodashne under Ukrainian control, because there is now the MOD of Russia and both the Ukrainian defense ministry both saying things that suggest that Bohorodashne is still under Ukrainian control. From the Ukrainian side, they say enemy shell our position at Bohorodashne, and from the Russian side, we can see the report of manpower and military equipment in the area of Bohorodashne is being destroyed. So, which means that Bohorodashne is likely to still be under Ukrainian control. But there is no doubt the Russians are attacking this city here. So, this information is now corrected. No information about this reported fighting at Tanyanivka and Pryshep. No updates about this. What else do we have around here? There is a Sukhoi 25 shot down over Dovhenke. The Russian forces is now fighting around Dovhenke, Mazanivka region. They are fighting around here, and the status of Mazanivka, which was previously reportedly captured, is becoming in question. But it's not very important because this is Mazanivka. It's just a few houses, so it's just a landmark for reference as far as I'm concerned. Fighting continued at Krasnopilia. Dolena, because it's the front line is so near, Dolena can anytime switch hands to be under Ukrainian control. So question mark there. The Russian forces are fighting for Kuruka, Dibrovne, Vernapilia. There isn't any so-called tangible success. Mostly the Russians resorts to bombardment. Over here at the Izyum city's west side in the forested area, the Russian forces have captured Nozivka. So this is the first time the Russian forces have pushed in this direction in 2-3 months after the capture of Izyum. They have never really cared about the forested area here, but because of this constant incursion by Ukrainian recon to disturb the Russians have pushed to capture Nozivka so that they can at least secure this area. So the crossing at Protopopivka and Petrivka continues to be attacked by Russian forces. The Ukrainians are trying and do struggle a lot to put more forces into the forest. So that's all for the Izyum side. There is no operation at the Bakhmut front, so nothing there. On the Kharkiv front, the former Happy Front, fighting is reported at Udi. The Russians attacked Udi, but did not work out, and then they gave up. The main Russian push is still continuing to be at Pitomnik, and at Verkhny Saltiv. This is the two main sites that they are actually fighting at. In terms of the situation here, which was previously very messy, I have invalidated this crossing and push towards Stary Saltiv, and the attack at Zaporizhzhia and Komtimlia has seems to died out, so there is no more offensive. Probably did not work out because the Ukrainian forces have entrenched in this position for quite some weeks. Situation at Bayrak continues to be not clear. Not sure who is actually controlling Bayrak, and the only fighting is around here. This triangle continues to be entrenched by the Russian forces. Otherwise, all the towns around is still under Ukrainian control. So it's looking cleaner now. So this Ruski Taishki, I will just delete this since there's no clear indication that this is under Russian control. So that's all for the Kharkiv front. Not much, right? So, and I want to highlight some other stuff. There is this alleged mobilization of untrained troops by the pro-Russian source. They mentioned that in order to compensate for the losses in manpower in Donetsk and Luhansk, they are now forming separate rifle battalions from each region from untrained civilians by mobilization. And then there is also information coming from who is from where is from? I forgot. This from Levy, which is a pro-Russian source. They say that according to he found this information from a pro-Ukrainian source, where there are pro-Ukrainian sauce, a lot of chili sauce here and tomato sauce, saying that the office of the president instructed Zaluzhny to transfer all reserves from the Mykolaiv, Odessa, and Kharkiv area into for a counter of attack in the Severodonetsk direction. So they're going to move forces from Kharkiv, Mykolaiv, and Odessa towards into the Donbass region to conduct a counteroffensive towards Severodonetsk, which means that this operational encirclement might be very successful, and they need a counteroffensive to create a breakthrough so that their forces can actually withdraw. This might be what I'm interpreting. And why Mykolaiv, Odessa, and Kharkiv? I explain. Because this is the three regions that is still left with trained troops, regular troops. because Kharkiv is an active front, Mykolaiv is an active front, and Odessa there are active, there are trained soldiers, properly trained soldiers in Odessa, because they were positioned here to prevent a landing. So it looks like the Ukraine leadership is thinking that they need to take all the remaining reserves of the trained troops to push to the Donbass area to help to save the other trained troops that are stuck within Lysychansk area. This is how I read it. I might be wrong, especially if this piece of intel is wrong, but that seems like the case, because there are no more other trained troops other than in Kryvyi Rih and Zaporizhzhia. So in the rest of Ukraine, there's no more trained troops as far as I can understand, because it's unlikely they will leave anyone behind to not send to the front. So most of the security job can be done by mobilized troops. So regular well-trained troops should be at the front now. So that's why the people at Odessa are the most relaxed one. They don't really need to fight. They just get bombarded by missiles. So sending them to the front maybe is a better use of them. But if this piece of information is correct and the Russian Defense Ministry actually see real evidence of this happening, then the risk of a landing will increase. So because I believe that the Russians did not want to attack Mykolaiv or land along Odessa, it's because the Ukrainian defense is too robust, which is why it doesn't worth the effort or the risk to attack Mykolaiv city, or to take the Mykolaiv Oblast, or to land at Odessa, because that might result in too much losses. But if the reserve and the well-trained forces are moved to the Donbass area, then the risk of landing at Odessa will increase. So that is something to take note of. And also there is this rumor, but it's from the Defense Ministry of Russia, claim that the 64th Battalion of the 103rd Territorial Defense Brigade in Lviv city, refused to leave for combat zone in Donbass because they are filled with untrained reservists and they lack heavy weapons. So of course, take this with a pinch of MSG, because this kind of information, like I mentioned previously, can be fake, can be misinformation. However, indications from a lot of videos that I've seen from pro-Russian sources, coming from all over Ukraine, seem to suggest that, and of course, in my previous summary, I also mentioned about the information from DPA viewer, when the relative are sent to the front without training, and the one that was trained saw untrained troops sent into his unit, and he's the most senior guy there already at 19 years old or 20 years old. So we are a lot of signals and information intel coming out from all over seems to suggest that the Ukrainians are really running out of well-trained soldiers, regular troops, or trained reserves, and they are now sending untrained soldiers, under-equipped, undermanned, with lack of heavy weaponry to be sent to the front. This seems to be the case. So anyway, this is the summary. I think I've covered everything. This is a summary for the day of 120 and 121 for 23rd and 24th June. So if you appreciate this kind of detailed breakdown of the Ukraine situation or the Ukraine war, do subscribe to the channel. Please press the like button so that more people will actually be notified to watch this video, especially to spread this to non-subscribers. And I'll see you in the next update.